Thanks so much for joining today.
She's also an expert in insurance and mortgages also.
Right. So this is going to be a video where we're going to discuss ways that you can keep down cost of living pertaining to housing costs. Primarily, it's going to be on if you're an owner in this video, or ways to keep down the cost of owning a home when you're first looking. That's the best time. That's the time where you really have the most flexibility to keep down your cost of living for your housing, which is going to be your most expensive cost other than taxes your whole life. So we're going to be discussing 6 key topics in relation to these housing costs.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be your interest rates, your property tax, your insurance, your down payment or your actual mortgage itself, maintenance costs, and HOAs. Guys, these 6 factors are going to impact your life so much, your day-to-day stress, the kind of work you can do, the kind of flexibility you can have in your life, the kind of time you can spend with your family. So please pay attention to what we and our guests have to say today. Anything you want to add to that, Makoto?
Not really. I just want to jump right in. I'm really curious to see what she's gonna say.
Right.
Yes, because we actually purchased our first home, and there's a lot of loopholes in this situation, and a lot of things that I didn't know, had no idea. So we're gonna let her take it. So go ahead and just let us know.
Okay. So I know it's a lot going around with people coming on the internet saying that oh their mortgage went up,
Mm-hmm.
but really and truly, if you lock into like a fixed rate when
Okay.
you buy the house, it's not gonna move from where it is. The only thing that's changing is your insurance and your property taxes. So for interest rates, you have the option to refinance to get a lower rate.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's another option.
Right. You can also recast your loan if you've made a large down payment or a large payment in the past, or a large payment or payments ahead of time where you're paying towards a principal specifically. What that will do is it's not going to change your interest rate, it's not going to change your loan terms, but they could actually bring down your monthly payments to get you back on pace to where you would be to finish the loan at the end of that term.
For those who don't understand, what does recast mean?
So it's exactly that. We'll go ahead and pop it a short description right here so you guys can see that. Um, but pretty much it's like we were saying, like it's taking your current loan,
Mm-hmm.
which if you've paid any additional principal, your balance is lower than what you originally signed up for the 30-year or the 15-year or 20-year period that you signed up for. So you're a little bit ahead on your mortgage. Pretty much they can recalculate your monthly payment.
Okay.
That could help you save monthly, right? So that's one
Mm-hmm.
option. If you can lock in an interest rate when you first buy the house, that's good. Or you can refinance, like the guest mentioned. But also, what you can do is you can buy down your rate when you're first purchasing a home or refinancing, which is taking additional money and buying a cheaper interest rate. And I've done this 2 times. It's really helped me out. It's something I highly recommend. You can do the break even math of when you'll make your money back. A lot of times it adds up, especially if you're in an environment where the interest rates are high. You could buy down like half a point or whatever it may be. A lot of people that take adjustable rate mortgages, that can be smart. I know people that did that. They assume, oh, like a year or two back, oh, interest rates are high right now, but they're gonna go down. But we don't know. Look,
Mm.
right now they're flat years later or going up. So I would really advise to not take these kinds of risks, guys. It's unnecessary. Sometimes oftentimes it's smarter to just lock in the rate. You know what it's going to be, even if it's a little high. Refinance later. The adjustable rate mortgage guys. Uh, who do you think knows better, you or the bank? So just keep that in mind.
Okay, and our guest?
Another factor is property taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you could file for homestead if you haven't already.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know another way or just
Homestead exemption is an amazing thing to do. And I know we were talking about this as a huge problem earlier, right? Like if you pay 10K in property taxes for 10 years, that's $100,000.
Mm.
It's getting ridiculous. Other ways to reduce your property tax. One, sell your house, move somewhere cheaper. No, but what you can do is there's services, there's companies that will work on your behalf, try to bring down your rate. They'll see if there's any exemptions that you can take, lower your property tax. Like you can do like a home office deduction, for example. I think there's different small things that you can do, or if you make your house a rental property, your interest your property taxes will go up more, but at least you can take that as a deduction at the end of the year. So it's something to consider. But if you go through one of these platforms and they help you save money, then that's the only time they get paid. And if not, then there's no payment necessary. And I've signed up for it. I haven't found any savings yet. But I know in some places, like in Texas, it's really helpful where property taxes are insane. I was talking to a couple from New Jersey the other day, and they were telling me the property tax over there, it's like 20K a house on $1 million house, which $1 million is like an average house over there. So that's what they're telling me. Maybe it's not true. Maybe
Where are they
they're really
from?
rich people.
Where they at?
New Jersey.
Oh, Jersey. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's
Jersey's the highest in the country from what I hear.
yeah, that is true. I've heard about that as well.
So
What's the next one?
Insurance. Okay, so like a lot of people think that once you lock in an insurance premium with a company, you have to wait a year to look for another carrier, which is not true. You could cancel in mid-term, but just make sure that you have another policy in place first before you cancel. Because you don't want to cancel your policy and then they send a notice to your lender and then the lender put a forced place insurance on you, which is way higher. And it doesn't really cover anything but just the dwelling. It doesn't cover personal property. It doesn't give you any liability coverages. So, as I said before, make sure that you shop around with other carriers for insurance quotes. And then if you do find one that fits your budget, then lock it in, bind it, get the policy, and then go ahead and cancel the one that you have prior.
When me and my wife was first trying to get a house, we was in a rush
yeah.
to actually move, and we should actually took our time because it depends on the builders. Sometimes they might give you like I didn't think we get any like garage door opener or refrigerator or anything. We had to buy that ourselves. Now some builders will give you that, and some won't. So I suggest that you take your time and look around and make the right decision for you and your family when choosing a home for you and yours.
Yes, that's a very good advice. Location is so important. So everybody knows that when you're dealing with real estate, where do you want your kids to go to school? What kind of community you want to raise your family in? The environment's so important. So that's a really good, really good thought pattern to put in there. Just make sure it's something you can afford.
That's true. Yeah,
So
definitely.
I forgot to mention for insurance, the homeowner's insurance, it does not cover flood coverage. So that's where a lot of people mess up on. Because I know, like, I've been getting calls and be like, oh, they want to put in a claim for flood because the hurricane came and water from the outside coming in and they need to file a claim. But I can't tell them that it doesn't cover flood. I have to go ahead and put in the claim. And then they're going to get that denial letter telling them the reason why they can't go through with the claim. So hazard insurance doesn't cover flood. Flood is a separate policy.
Right. And how about sinkholes? I know that's another big problem we have.
Hazard, it do cover sinkhole, but you have to let the agent know that you want that endorsement included because the carrier, certain carriers, they want you to get an inspection done to add that coverage.
Got it.
Okay.
So they want to make sure it's impossible so they don't have to pay anything, but you have to pay. So maybe let them do the inspection, and then if they say we got you, just say okay, forget it.
Yeah.
So some other thoughts that came to mind, guys, that you can quickly think about to save on your insurance costs would be one, reducing your coverage. You could downsize the amount of coverage you have, right? I think you can not cover your equipment or your belongings. Am I right in that kind of regards?
Yeah, you're right. Some company will allow you to go down from 50% of the dwelling to 25, or you just put zero for the coverage. They also have another coverage called replacement costs for the contents.
Mm-hmm.
If you know you don't need no replacement costs, you could remove that coverage, and sometimes it would take off up to $200 to $600 off the policy.
Mm. So that's one quick way, guys. I mean, a lot of times, just take that money, save it yourself, maybe invest it, try to grow it. You might end up better off ahead, and if you don't, well, statistically, they're giving the insurance because they believe that they're going to be better off with your money. So probably you're going to be better off with that same money. Otherwise, they'd increase the rates more. Usually, another two things you could do is increase your deductible. That probably could lower your overall costs because they're going to insure you're going to have to pay a larger portion, or you're going to be less likely to take the claim. Right, it has to be over that threshold for you to want to take the insurance claim. And the next thing is if you have a hurricane deductible, maybe you can also adjust that. And that's another factor that could help you bring down your costs if you're somewhere like Florida where you might have a high cost if something happens to your fence or your roof or something related to the hurricane. Is that an accurate statement?
Well, yes, they could increase the deductible for hurricane to lower the premium,
Mm-hmm.
but I usually stay far from the 10%.
Mm-hmm.
I usually give the option 2% or 5% because
Right.
they go by based on what coverage A is, which is the dwelling.
Yep.
And if you go to 10%, it's going to be a lot of money out of pocket.
Right.
And the deductible is going to be very high. So I will stay between 2 and 5.
Right. I think I've done the 5% in the past to try to save a little bit, but you might be sorry if the storm comes. So listen to our expert here. Don't go too crazy, guys. You need some insurance. Listen, you need insurance when you can't afford to cover it yourself. Your house, you probably can't afford to cover yourself. Don't be stupid. All right, I had family members, their house burnt down, and they didn't have insurance. They had it all these years, and then they decide, oh, I'm old now, I don't have the money. They don't have insurance. Guess what? It's also old. Your house is now also old. Your electric's old, and then unfortunately, the house burnt down and no coverage. So, yeah, take advice. Have the proper coverage, guys. Have the proper coverage. If you need some liability protection, also consider that. But be smart. If you have some extra cash, you can increase your deductible. If it's another 2, 3 grand, if you have the cash in your bank, and try to grow your money also. So yeah, play it smart.
That is true, Ambu. Yeah, that's true. You guys got to play it smart out there, man. I hope everyone is taking notes about this and going out there and make the right decisions on what you're doing and what you're investing. And remember, you're preparing and you're actually building. You're trying to create a future for you and your family and you and yours, your wife, husband, whoever you are. And you want to make the right decisions when it comes to something like that. And what about the roof? Like, how often do we change roofs? I mean,
So shingle roofs probably could be as little as 10 years, 15, up to 20 years potentially. Tile roofs will be 50 years to 75 years, maybe up to 100 years, and there's other roofs in between.
Okay, there's also metal roof too.
Mm.
I've heard about those, but I'm not
I
a
know
fan
they
of
don't
it.
look that good, but they do last a long time.
I like the look.
You like the look?
I like the look of the
Does it
metal
come in
roofs.
different colors though?
Yeah, I think I've seen one even down the street, a nice red looking one.
Okay, as long as it's different colors, man, because it be looking like zinc. In Jamaica, they
Right.
have that zinc zinc house in Jamaica. I mean, it looks good, but it kind of throw the house off a little bit, the design off a little bit. But I don't know how long does the metal one last for?
It lasts longer than tile
Right.
So tile is like 10 years.
roof. Tile roof is like
50 years.
yeah.
How much?
50 years.
Tile is 50 years.
Well, a lot of times they don't last that long. It depends on how good it was installed, how well it's maintained over the years. But it's supposed to have a lot. That's when they're going to sell you and tell you, oh, it's going to last 50, 75 years. I know people, they last 25 years and you got to change it.
It lasts longer than shingle.
But definitely it should last longer than shingle roof.
Yeah.
What's a shingle roof? Do we have?
Typical roof.
Oh crap!
Like a
so
common roof.
so we have a shingle roof, but damn, so that's like
We
what?
have 20 years.
So we have 20 years with that. I mean, we got a little time. This is a new home, so we could just save up a little bit.
Yep. And then they have roofs in Europe that are lasting hundreds of years, and you're wondering what are they doing differently, right? But guys, this all ties back. One central point ties back to all the points we talked about so far. It's going to be the price of the house you buy, right? If you buy a more expensive house, it's going to be a higher replacement cost, higher insurance cost, right? If you have a more expensive house, higher property taxes, right? And then obviously if you're if your expense is high, your interest rate, even if the interest rate's low, you're gonna have a high interest expense if you have a high balance. So that's gonna bring us into our next point, which is actually gonna be uh, the amount of down payment that you put down.
Okay.
So obviously, this one's pretty obvious. The more money you put down, the less balance you're going to have. So the less payment you're going to be spreading out over that loan term, right? And if you do a 15-year loan term, you can end up paying only a little bit more, and paying it off in half the time and paying half the interest, or some substantial amount of interest saved. Or if you can pay a little bit more. So having a down payment, the right size down payment, if you can, it can help. It depends on what your goals are. Maybe you're young and you don't have the cash, you just want to get into your first home. You could start with 1 or 2 or 3% down, or 0% down. Maybe you're in the VA, 0% down. You could do 5% down on a second home. I've done 3.5%. I've done 5%. So you can start low. I'm not saying go crazy. Not everybody has, or pretty much nobody has cash like that because the house prices are insane these days.
Hmm.
But obviously, the more you put down, the better.
Now, first, I think they had a have a program for first time buyers.
Yeah, they do. Like in
Yeah.
Florida
So.
here, if you plan to stay in the house for the whole 30 years, they give you a grant. I believe it's 25K towards your home.
Okay.
Hometown Heroes is one I know of
All right.
here in Florida.
So that's for anyone who's just you purchasing a new home. They have programs to help you get a new home. They have like
Down payment assistance.
down
Yep,
payment
a lot of
assistance.
assistance.
Yes.
But I think those programs you have to do courses, right?
Mm.
You have to go to classes and stuff like that.
You gotta do classes for those?
Yes, because when we were looking into it, we didn't have the time to do all of that because we were in a rush
Okay.
to get a house.
Mm.
Yes. So time is of essence, I guess. You
Mm.
got to make sure you have the time to do the classes and stuff like that. But hey, if you have the time and you want to get some, want to get help with the program or whatever, do the classes and get some help. Follow the steps. And there you go.
So we got two last topics. One, maintenance, right? So, and then the next is gonna be HOA. So with maintenance, this goes back to kind of the price of the house. Like, okay, you get a house with a pool. Trust me, guys, it's a headache. It's horrible. Go to somebody else's pool. You have leaks in your pool. Your equipment's gonna go bad every few months. Change out different parts. You gotta have the monthly service, right? I gotta change out my pool filter right now. It's gonna be $1,000. I gotta add a pool heater. That's gonna be like $6,000. And then those who gotta change every 4 or 5 years. The heaters, they go bad quick.
Yeah, they
High
do.
electric bill. You get a bigger house. You got a higher electric bill, higher water bill. You got a pool. You got a high water bill and a high electric bill. So
I heard insurance for those for having a pool is
and
crazy.
higher insurance. Yep.
That's crazy.
A lot of
bro.
risk, right?
That's why I don't really want a pool.
And I don't blame you. I have one. It's a pain in the
I
ass.
know, but I'm good.
Yeah.
Insurance will go way up with a pool. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's high because they have to cover the pool too.
Mhm.
And then I know I'm going a little off, but if you have solar panels on the roof,
Mhm.
your insurance is gonna be high too.
That's good to know.
So that's
really
crazy
good to
because
know.
when we first got here, I seen a lot of people coming up to the house trying to sell us solar panels.
Mhm.
I feel like putting that stay off my property
No
catalog.
soliciting.
No
Yeah.
soliciting. I'm like, because I'm tired. Like they came constantly.
Yep.
And they just try to make their way in your home. I don't really trust that. We from New York. We don't really trust people just trying to come up into your home and try to explain stuff to you. But so solar panel could be a bad idea, right?
Mhm. Sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really. No.
Because I've been getting calls where customers are thinking about getting it and they want to know what the premium will be.
Mhm.
So I always ask them how many panels you're planning to get. Because we have to put in the numbers.
Mm.
And then
Wow.
they would say, 36, 42 panels. And I'm like, okay. And then I would put it in. And some company asks for the kilowatts.
Kilowatts, yeah.
Am I pronouncing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
kilowatts.
kilowatts,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I have to put that in too. And it's ridiculous. When I click that submit, I don't submit, but I have to submit to get like an endorsement.
Right.
report,
Yeah.
Okay.
The dwelling will increase by 150K.
Damn, 150K
To replace those
increase.
stupid solar panels. That's
Yes,
crazy.
and
Crazy, bro.
And that will like increase the premium, and they'll be like, "What the heck?"
Right.
And then they will come to me and say, "Oh, don't worry about the panels. I'm getting it covered with the company I'm getting it from."
Okay.
It doesn't go that way. You still have to cover it on your homeowners.
Right.
They're not going to insure you. They're
So-
going to cancel the policy.
So this all goes back to maintenance, guys. You get solar panels, boom, higher insurance costs skyrocket, right? Then you got to also maintain the panels. You got to get them cleaned or washed or serviced every year. And then you get a tile roof. I have a tile roof. You got to wash the roof every couple of years. That's an expense, right?
Yeah.
That you wouldn't have with a shingle roof.
Mm.
Maybe you have to get gutters, right? You got to pressure wash your pool area. You got a pool, okay, now you got to pressure wash your pool area. Keep it looking nice,
Yeah.
right? You got to paint it every couple of years. You got concrete back there, it's going to crack. You got to reseal the concrete cracks.
You got to service your pool.
You know what I'm
weekly.
talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you got to service that pool weekly. I used to do pools, I still, but you got to service your pools weekly. If you don't service your pools weekly, then the pool could turn green. That could have harbor mosquitoes, insects, and stuff like that. And in some places, you could get a fine.
Yeah.
So it depends on the neighborhood you're in. So yeah, our guests have a question.
And also talking about maintenance, you have to maintain the water heater,
Yeah.
electrical panel.
Right, exactly. That was the next point.
What
Yeah.
else? The plumbing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to maintain all those too.
Right. So whether you're buying a house, if you buy an old house, guys, you're gonna have a lot of problems. So it's a price might be a little bit cheaper. Well, guess what? Factor in those hidden costs. Make sure you really talk to somebody old, guys. Talk to a real homeowner. Talk to somebody who's owned a home for 5, 10 years before you buy a house. I really recommend this because they can help you understand things you're not gonna understand. We're homeowners. We didn't know about these things. We got blindsided. My expenses went up. Guys, I'm scared for January. I'm scared every January now. And every homeowner knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So.
Listen, new home, property taxes, and certain things that we didn't know that was happening that is going to happen. Well, we had a little idea.
Yeah.
But I think we're supposed to pay it. What we're supposed to pay a little extra on the
We were supposed to pay 300 and something extra monthly, but
at the time
it was so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
And then when they reassessed the property taxes with the structure on the land,
yeah,
it hit us like a truck.
Yeah, it hit us like a truck. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And
then we went. Another thing, I filed taxes and then I used that and put it into the escrow.
So she said that you could use when you file your taxes, you could use your refund and put it towards the escrow to lower back the payment. So that's something else that you guys could try to do, to lower your payments in the escrow, right?
That's a great idea because I got hit with the truck too, so I hear you completely.
More like a bus, man.
I got hit with a bus, like a Mack truck, if you can remember the Mack trucks. So guys, some of these things you really can't predict. We've never seen increases in cost of house this much. In Florida, we've suffered the worst, really. We've never seen such increases, I don't think, anywhere.
Yeah, it's
prices
crazy,
doubled, right, or more. So of course the insurance over here doubled or more.
Yeah.
And the property taxes doubled or more.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you're not gonna suffer like that every January. Hopefully you're not in Florida, or hopefully you are. It's great over here still. And then our last point, guys, is HOA. So you could be smart, like Makoto here, and avoid HOAs altogether. Or you could find yourself an HOA community, maybe a little bit cheaper one. Or you get into HOA you're paying a lot. Hopefully it's worth it. I pay a lot in HOAs each month myself. I wonder if it's worth it. I'm not going to do the math. Bro. The math over 20 years might say it's not worth it once you do the math.
I don't know, man. we actually went to get a house with my wife, and it was an upstairs downstairs house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was nice. It was nice, but it was an HOA. So certain things we wanted to put in our yard. I don't know if every HOA place to do this, but we couldn't put like certain plants. Like I like to plant stuff like apple trees, mango trees, and some of them don't allow us to do that. So that's why I didn't actually get a place with an HOA in it, because I want to plant some stuff. I want to grow my own fruits and vegetables. All right.
And is it true that like if you're like way behind on the fees that you have to pay every monthly or every quarterly, they will take away your property?
They can, guys. They can do that.
Hell no.
I've heard of it happening to people for like $50. You lose $1 million house over $50.
You lying?
I heard about some lady in Georgia that happened to, some poor lady.
$50?
$50.
Oh,
and if you're in Florida, you got the condos. The HOAs are skyrocketing right now. The condo crisis in Florida. So be careful, because some of these things are outside your control, guys. That's why you want to try to get something cheap as possible when you're first starting, because you have no control over interest rate. You have control over interest rates. You have no control over insurance, no control over property taxes, no control over maintenance, some a little bit maintenance, but HOAs is that next one that can really kill you.
Oh, and also assessment fees.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
crazy.
Special assessments,
Yeah,
yep.
I got a call and this lady was like ready to sell her condo. She
Mm.
was saying this is the third time within a year they're trying to do an assessment.
Yeah, that's what's been happening.
That
It's
is
Yeah,
true.
and she
insane.
was like, "This is crazy. Like, I have to file a claim with my policy, and the
Mm.
policy only cover up to it depends. But in her case, only cover up to $2,000,
Mm.
and her assessment fee was $6,000, so she got to pay the $4,000 out of pocket. And she was like, "Where am I gonna get this money from? I'm gonna
Mm.
sell this condo."
Now,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we all come to this place and we're just trying to live the American dream and we're trying to get a home. And, you know, we just, you know, everybody think that getting a home it's a good thing. It could be a bad thing, but it could be a good thing. Depends on the decision that you make. All right. So, as I said before, take your time, do some research, walk around, talk to a few people, and you know, make sure you choose the right one that's right for you. And the interest rate is locked in, and you know, as Ambu said, I would start with like a small property, or
Yeah.
like a 2-3. What is it? 2-2,
Yeah,
3-2.
I would probably aim for at least a 3-2
Yeah, 3-2. Yeah,
personally, but yeah, whatever you can afford.
No tutu.
Two twos are
yeah,
hard to resell. Price not
yeah,
gonna go
yeah.
up.
You're right. I mean, I'm just
No one bathroom. Don't do two
just do a
one, three
half a
one.
bathroom. Maybe. Nah, I'm just joking. I'm joking. I'm
Guys,
joking.
do it 3-2. That's a
Yeah.
good. But also, don't be afraid to rent. Renting, especially in the last couple of years, is smarter, guys. Once you do the math and look at it,
Now, it depends though.
it
Because we
depends.
actually moved from Fort Lauderdale, believe it or not, and
Right.
that joint was like up there. It's like 19.
Oh
Was
yeah.
it 1900?
Mm-hmm.
It was 16, and then they raised it up to 19.
So
Mm.
and it was like for I forgot. Was it two what? What was
It
it?
was a 2, 1.5.
And so when we moved up here, we was paying less than that for mortgage.
Right. Yep.
You know, so you know,
No, that's a good point. But one other factor, it's like you can move, guys. If you're in some place that's more expensive, you can move to somewhere
Mhm.
that's maybe a little less populous, a little bit more spacious.
Yeah.
That might be a little bit more affordable. And that's a
Mhm.
smart thing to do, guys. I'm thinking of leave the state of Florida myself. I've been here for
What?
20 plus years.
I didn't know that.
Man, property taxes keep going up, insurance keep going up. I'm out of here, bro.
Yeah, yeah, that's true because you know what? I can't do it, bro. But I mean, the jobs is it's a little bit, you know,
It's better than a lot of other states here, guys. But if it keeps heading this direction, a lot of people are already starting to head out of here.
Yeah, it's sad though, man. But we're gonna move to, man. Like,
I hear people going to Tennessee. That's what I hear.
but where the jobs looking like? That's the thing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, the jobs is important because if you go to some place
Yeah.
and you try to rent somewhere, you don't have a good job, you're
Yeah.
screwed, man.
Yeah.
You know, you got to make sure you're working and the money coming in, or be, you know, just have, you know, your own business or something because it's gonna be. I think it's actually gonna get really, really hard.
Yeah.
You know, so buckle up.
Yeah, we want to be optimistic, but I'll say this: every time you think you're ahead, it's the moment you're about to get, you know what. So.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm just gonna say something real quick. I forgot to mention when we were talking about how to get a lower monthly payment from the lender.
Okay.
There's this other thing called hardship,
Okay.
but it could be good and bad in a way. Certain lender will allow you to extend the contract instead of a 30-year contract.
Right.
Go on a
Like
20
modify,
year.
loan
Yes.
modification. Yeah.
So it can lower the monthly payment, but the catch is the interest rate. They're gonna go by what interest rate is at the time when you call them to submit that application. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I tried to do that, and then when she told me the interest rate was 7%, I was like, heck no, I'm fine. So she was like, sweetie, just stick it out, cause you know people that paying more in rent.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to extend your loan longer, guys. If anything, try to shorten it, but extending it sounds risky.
Higher interest
You're going to be
rate.
paying a lot more money over your life towards that
So
interest.
higher interest rate if you decide to increase your loan, right?
Yeah, if they give you that option, or they may give you the option to just extend the loan at the same rate, but you don't want to do that still.
Yeah, cause different lender, different rules.
All right, so we're gonna actually wrap it up. You know, I hope you know we all gave you like good information that you could use on purchasing a home. I hope you listen to what we said and you have a good understanding of what we said and you put it into work with what you're doing. So you can make the right decision.
Yeah, but either way, we're just having fun, guys. We hope you
Yeah.
enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe. Ninja Discernment.
This was actually a serious one, so take it seriously. Nah, but for real though, yeah. But remember, want to thank our guests for coming in, and thanks for showing up today. And we will hopefully you'll show up when you're in town. And remember, you was or you were watching Ninja Discernment, huh?